You may be seated.
Hello, Your Honor. This is a case of Gray versus Gray.
Thank you. Good day, everyone. Mr. Gray, you are suing your wife and the mother of your daughter for a paternity test. You and your parents claim Mrs. Gray lied to you about her sexual past, and since discovering the truth about her, you now all fear the baby is not your biological daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mrs. Gray, you argue that your husband is destroying your marriage because he no longer trusts you. You claim that your in-laws' influence is causing your husband to deny his child. You also say your husband has not stepped up financially in the past.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mrs. Gray, what was your first impression of your daughter-in-law?
Well, considering the fact that the first time that she come to our home, that particular day, she and Tanner went to the bedroom and had unprotected sex.
Okay. How old were they when...
She was 14 and he was 15 years old.
Okay.
Okay,
Let me get my mouth off the ground.
Okay.
They went to his bedroom.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
had sex.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, continue.
Okay, within about 3 weeks, they called me into the bedroom. She explained to me that she was late on her period. I looked around for a few things to throw, and instead I went to the store and I got a pregnancy test, and I come back, tossed it at her, asked her if she knew how to use it, considering she was only 14 years old. And she said yes. She went to the bathroom, brought it back to me, and it was positive.
Okay. You know what I want? I want to hear a little bit about your son before I move on to you, Mr. Gray. What was he like before?
Tanner was enrolled in school. He'd always been involved in sports, basketball, popular child. He always made very good decisions. He had a relationship before. I had furnished him with a condom in case he ever wanted to have sex.
So you had a discussion with him about responsibility?
Absolutely, positively. He had a complete goal. He was going to be a police officer, and everything changed.
Now, Mr. Gray, I want to bring you in here because I want to find out from you how this relationship started with Ms. Gray.
Yes, Your Honor. Kaitlyn and I, we met through Facebook. We went out on our first date to a basketball game. About a week later, we had our second date, and she came to my mother's house. She stayed for a couple days, and...
Oh, the second date lasts a couple days?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. At 15 and 14 years old, 2-day dates? Never heard of such. Okay.
Yes, and they were supposed to be sleeping by the Christmas tree. Well, that didn't go over so well.
Whoa. Okay.
So, and considering the fact of her family's background, and considering the fact of what Tanner's told me about her previous boyfriends and girlfriends, I'm not sure that the baby could be his, because I felt like, you know, he was the pick of the litter.
Well, let me ask Mr. Gray. I mean, you're a handsome young man, and definitely I can see how any mom thinks their son is the pick of the litter. I see that. But I want to know from you, when you met Mrs. Gray, you obviously were interested in her. You took her on a date.
Yes, ma'am.
You had a 2-day second date. When you found out that she was pregnant, did you feel like this could possibly be my child?
No, I didn't, because when she was 14 years old and I was 15, we decided to have sex, and I figured if she was going to have sex with me on her second date at my house at such a young age, why wouldn't she have sex with somebody else? I knew for a fact that I had details on reasons why the baby couldn't be mine, and...
Specifically why?
How about when her family tried to explain to you that if the baby comes out black, that it's still yours? Okay? And they had him convinced of this.
That's an interesting fact even for the court.
Yes, yes. I'm like, it took me and my oldest daughter 2 days to convince him that that was not the truth.
That's math that just doesn't add up, right?
I think so.
Well, considering the fact that we had
I'm going to bring you in
agreed...
just 1 second, Ms. Gray. Just 1 second. I just want Mr. Gray to finish this thought, that I'm going to give you a chance to answer that.
What did she ask you to do on your very first sexual experience?
She told me that she wanted to have a baby with me.
Okay, now this is the moment that I want to hear from you, Ms. Gray. Is that true? Did you say on that date, that second long date at 14 and 15, I'm still not over that, that you wanted to have a baby?
Yes, Your Honor, but he also agreed to, because obviously I turned up pregnant. So if he didn't agree to it, then, I mean...
So you all are 14
agreed.
and 15 years old, 2 babies, making a decision that y'all gonna have a baby.
Yeah.
Why is it that you, not only are you engaging in adult activity, but you're talking about becoming parents? Why? Because you all feel like you hit it off so much? What's the reason for this? I'm not understanding this.
Because she had a terrible home life. Horrible home life. She needed out of that.
I want to hear from you, Ms. Gray.
Well, Your Honor, considering the fact that during the heat of the moment, I had said something about, getting pregnant, and Tanner, he seemed like that he was agreeing with me, and during the heat of the moment, he got me pregnant. So, I mean...
So it really wasn't a good decision.
It was a mutual agreement.
A mutual agreement based upon irresponsibility and bad decision-making. Was it a mutual agreement, Mr. Gray?
Your Honor, during the moment, it was a mutual agreement, yes, but about doubt, I had gotten and broken into her email accounts, and 2 to 4 weeks prior to our first date, actually, she had sexual conversations with numerous guys, and I had proof of that. I had sat her down and I told her all about that, and first she denied it. I'd got into the email again to show her what I had found, and the information was not there. I had a family member that was actually a computer engineer, and he helped me get all those emails back. She started crying and bawling, and she admitted to it. She actually admitted to sleeping with 6 other people than me.
Oh! If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. You discovered emails with 6 other guys?
She admitted to me sleeping with 6 other guys.
How many other men did you see on the email?
The emails, there was quite a bit that she was just having sexual conversations with 2 to 4 weeks prior.
Sexual conversations?
Yes, about having sex with each other.
Oh!
And then when I demanded a DNA test, I demanded it. I set him down. I'm his mother. I have that right. He was underage. Okay? Her and her family did everything in the world to convince him that it would make him a bad person if he did not trust her enough to have that DNA test. So he did not have that DNA test against my wishes.
Your Honor, I mean, there's no question denying these pictures. They look just alike. They both have big ears. I mean, I don't have big ears at all.
I would like to say that that picture of Tanner right there looks identical to my 4-year-old who has a different father.
So when you look at this picture, do you see a resemblance, Mr. Gray?
A little bit, but I still have that doubt.
You have that doubt?
I do have that doubt.
Because you said at some point after you confronted her about these emails, she looks at you and tells you, yeah, I slept with 6 other people.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this true, Ms. Gray?
Yes, Your Honor, it is. But also,
She's trying to trap my son. My son was the best one out of the ones in which she slept with.
Well, considering the fact
we had a beautiful, nice 6-bedroom home, and she's seen that, and she took advantage of that.
So in your opinion, she came over on that second date and that Christmas tree was sparkling.
Absolutely.
Right? And the 6 bedrooms.
Those big presents
Look,
are glistening.
throw pillows on the beds, and she got in her mind, I'm going to make this long term.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
your account?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you feel that, Mr. Gray?
Yes, ma'am. The same exact one.
Now, you have a witness. Your stepfather's here. Please step up to the podium,
Yes,
sir.
Your Honor.
State your name.
Chris Boyd, Jacqueline's husband.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd.
Yes, I found out recently that she'd made a statement to my family members that she was pregnant when she met Tanner. He was 15 at the time.
Well, Your Honor, like I said before, it wasn't just me. It takes 2.
But-
it takes 2.
But, Your Honor, at 14 years old,
It usually takes 2 that are in a monogamous relationship. It doesn't take one that's sleeping with 6 people versus one-on-one.
Your Honor, they're together. He's doing everything he can to support him, his wife, and his baby. And then he calls me on the phone and says, I just got done smashing Kaitlyn's phone. I said, really? Why? He goes, I caught her talking to other guys again. I said, really? He goes, yep. 30 minutes later, 30 minutes, he calls me back up. He says, I'm going to be the glue that holds this family together. I said, what do you mean? I said, is she still giving you sex or what? I said, I can't believe that you've changed your mind within 30 minutes. One minute you're ready to walk out, next minute you know, and I'm trying to make heads or tails of what's going on.
She has a negative force that brings him down to her family's level. And, you know, he was raised on a different level than her family was. You know, like
Level.
like
I don't see how to bring him
school,
down, Your Honor.
college, morals.
He had.
You
So
know,
you're accusing her
goals.
of not having a family that
Oh, I'm
has
not
morals?
accusing it. That is a fact.
So, Ms. Gray, I have to ask you, you can understand, can't you, why Mr. Gray may have doubt about your child, considering you admitted to sleeping with 6 other young men?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes.
Okay. I want to hear from your witness, Ms. Gray.
Okay.
You have your grandmother,
Yes, I
Ms.
do, Your Honor.
Wohlhart, here
Yeah.
by Skype.
Yes.
Okay. Can we please have Ms. Wohlhart?
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, ma'am?
I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us today. I'd like to ask you, what is it about this situation that is upsetting you so much that you are agreeing to be here by Skype?
Your Honor, I'm upset that when they were broke up for 3 months, I'm the one that bought the diapers and the food and the...
I supported that child for 3 years. I bought her school supplies, school clothes, drove her back and forth to college,
Well, you
bought
know
her
what?
food, bought her
That's your fault.
tampons.
Okay, let's hear from
Everything.
Ms.
I don't know.
Wohlhart could have come and lived with somebody, and you told her father at the hospital that you were going to let her live in your
She
house.
had to live somewhere.
Okay, I want to understand from you specifically. Now, it seems like you are upset with Mr. Gray's mother. What is it specifically that you feel like she's done or has not done?
Well, another thing, being teenagers, they would have never left the living room, for one, if I was at home.
I'll tell you what, I might be old school, Ms. Gray, but I have to say I cannot agree more with Ms. Wohlhart. I was not allowed to have boy company further than the front room, and it was supervised.
He had been in a bedroom before, and that didn't never happen before because he had a condom.
My point is this.
Maybe that girl
It
didn't want
takes
to have sex.
2
But-
people to do this tango they've done.
Yes, it does.
And therefore, although you continually say that Ms. Gray is the culprit, she's the one to blame, she's the manipulative one,
No,
she's the
she's just the one that's had the
handpicked
multiple
your son
affairs
out of the
or
litter of
boyfriends.
men, your son went on right on down the alley and jumped on in. All right, thank you, Ms. Wohlhart.
You're welcome.
Okay, you all end up getting married.
Yes, we did.
You're married now.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, this is interesting to me because you all have barely looked at one another. This entire time you've presented your stories to the court. This situation has really destroyed not just your marriage, but your relationships with each other's families as well. Am I correct?
Most definitely.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Which I would have never had a family relationship with her family anyway. I've never.
So the results of this test, this DNA test, is going to determine the future of your families. I see you becoming very emotional, Ms. Gray. Tell me what you feel. I'm listening.
I just know for a fact that Keely is Tanner's. And he could be any other person. And I know that for a fact because if I had been pregnant for 6 months, I would have known. I would have known that I was pregnant. But I don't want this whole subject to destroy our family. I want to stay with Tanner. I want Keely to be with both her mom and father. And I want to have a relationship with my mother-in-law. I want my family to get along with Tanner. And I don't want this whole thing to just, be a big issue and cause us to, get a divorce or anything.
And I love Kaitlyn, and I love Keely, and I pray to God that Keely is Tanner's. I pray to God
So
that little
you
girl.
do want.
I pray to God that little. Yes, I have done everything in the world for her and her. Everything, financially and
now
everything.
you're not just saying you want the child to be your son's because you put out so much money and time.
I love
you
her.
love.
I love Keely. I love Keely.
What's not to love?
Exactly.
Absolutely
Exactly.
beautiful.
She's precious, but I've had to hold my reserve with Keely because I have to know the truth out of all this stuff that's been going on. I want to know the truth.
So you feel like as a grandmother, you kind of
Yes.
been holding back. You love her.
I've had
you
to
provide
hold back.
for her.
I love her more than anything in the world. I love her to death.
And Mr. Gray, tell the court, what do you want from this situation?
I want the baby to be mine. I love Kaitlyn with all my heart. I've supported her since the day she was born, and I believe, whether or not she is mine or not, that Kaitlyn best know that I'm still the father, regardless of the situation.
All right, I think I've heard enough from everyone. It's time for the results. Jerome, do you have the envelope?
I do, Your Honor. Here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Gray. Do you want to watch Paternity Court on TV? Go to paternitycourt.tv to find your local listings. I have the results in my hand. I know each of you are very interested to find out who, in fact, Kaitlyn Gray's father truly is. We thank our friends at DNA Diagnostics for the preparation of these results. In the case of Gray versus Gray, when it comes to Kaitlyn, Mr. Gray, you are her father.
You guys so much.
Now that's what I want to see. That is a wonderful example of what the blessing of a beautiful, innocent child can do for a family. But I want to caution you both. You all started down the path to adulthood way too early. Let's be very honest. 14 and 15 years old, hemmed up in bedrooms with closed doors by yourself. I don't see that. That is not appropriate. Now that you are here and you've gotten married because you tried to do the right thing, I will give you that, and I commend you for that. You have to understand that you've brought a child into the world, you are husband and wife, and you are parents. Are we clear?
Yes, Your Honor.
Make the best life for your child. Well, congratulations to all of you, I will say, and I wish you the best of luck. Court is adjourned.
Paternity court has impacted our lives to join us all together as a family, including Kaitlyn, and it's the beginning of a new start.
Now we know that the baby is Tanner's, and I feel like now they can both step up and be better parents with no doubts in their mind.
I feel like it has brought me a lot closer to my wife, Kaitlyn, and I already feel closer to our little girl, Kaitlyn.
I feel paternity court has finally, answered their questions and made me right.